pillar, they especially help boost the Dow. How does Kim Jong-un's visit play into trade with the U.S.? And if things are moving along on trade with China, what is the biggest thing to look out for right now? I spoke with Olivia Enos. She's at the right-leaning Heritage Foundation. She had some answers. Olivia, we were doing some coverage last night of U.S. trade negotiations with China. We have some representatives over there right now. Then suddenly, we got this alert that Kim Jong-un is also showing up in China, which seems to be no mistake, but I couldn't find something that jumped out to me of an apparent reason why he would be there necessarily. Any insight?
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about what exactly is going on, and I think that the primary reason why he's likely there, and what this seems to be pointing to, is we saw this type of pattern of behavior happening before the Singapore summit, and of course, since before the holidays, we've been hearing rumors that maybe there's going to be a second summit between the U.S. leaders and the Kim Jong-un in North Korea, and we saw this ahead of the Singapore summit, that there were meetings with China, and that there was an attempt by China to basically set the terms for negotiations, or to help shape how those negotiations went between North Korea and the U.S. I think this is a high possibility that this is the case. I know a lot of observers have been tying this very closely to U.S. trade negotiations, and the prominence that the Trump administration has placed on North Korea as a foreign policy priority. But I think that it probably has less to do with trade negotiations in particular, and a whole lot more to do with China asserting that it has a role to play in North Korea, and it wants to make that prominent and loud and clear.
Xi Jinping is a very, very smart operator. And to me, it seemed he was playing this dual role of, one, I can be a go-between, but two, while I'm working bilaterally with you, the U.S., don't forget that we're very powerful, and we have the strings attached to this marionette here.
Yeah, I mean, China is North Korea's #1 trading partner. It is basically its only ally in the region. North Korea doesn't have very many friends. And so being able to go to China, and China's obviously a very powerful nation, to be able to sit down with Xi Jinping, I believe this is the 4th time after years of really never meeting with leaders. Now we're seeing Kim Jong-un in this almost new era where he is meeting, he is traveling. And I think the unfortunate thing about Kim Jong-un traveling so frequently is that it's sort of an after effect of the Singapore summit that has to some extent normalized what would otherwise be considered an extraordinarily brutal human rights abusing leader who, remember, still has a nuclear program and a missile program that is in violation of international law.
These trade negotiations between the U.S. and China, it's probably not as much as Capitol Hill where the walls talk, but are we hearing anything coming out of those, any progress?
Yeah, I think everyone is hoping that progress will be made. From the Heritage perspective, we think that it's really important that the administration get back on the track toward promoting free trade. And that means not starting a trade war and continuing down the path of what looks like a trade war with China.
We don't want this to get lost in the shuffle. U.S., China, still super important. We're going to keep covering it here at Newsy. Meanwhile, of course, we are in the midst of a stalemate, a partial government shutdown, about to enter day 19. The president will lay out his case for why he's insisting on billions of dollars to extend the border wall in the South. We think that explanation is important for understanding the full picture here and what we could be facing. So we're going to bring it to you tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, along with